All right, let's talk one-point perspective. One-point perspective means I have one dot, and everything is going to travel to that dot. So if I draw a square, I'm going to use markers so you can see it. Please use pencil when you try your own. I want to make this square look three-dimensional. To do that, I'm going to take all of the corners and I'm going to draw a line to the dot. I'm going to draw lightly because these are things that are going to be erased later. So from each of the corners of the square to the one point that I have in my paper for my perspective line. Yes, I'm going to do the bottom one too. To make the back and top part of the square, I need to make parallel lines. So this line, the back part of the square is going to be parallel to the side. Top part of the square is also going to be parallel, so let's shift that up. And now you can see our wonderful one-point perspective of a cube. How do I use one-point perspective to make a picture? We're going to use one-point perspective to draw a room. Put a dot in the center of your paper. Connect that dot to all of your corners. Now give yourself a back wall. Make sure that the lines you draw are parallel with the sides. The first line I draw is going to determine where I start the rest of the lines. So the next line I draw has to connect to this one. I'm going to make it parallel with the base. That would be the ground. I'm going to start where this line ends and I'm going to connect it to the next set of lines. I'm going to go from here to here, then I'm going to go from here to here. So this, parallel, and this, in theory, should connect right to this. Let's do it a little more carefully. There we go. Now how to make this a room. This is the back wall. This is the floor, this is the ceiling, these are the side walls, and this is the back wall. You're standing in the room. If you want to make a floor that has tile, if you want to just draw anything on the floor, I need all of the lines because of this floor section, because of the way this floor section works. All of my lines that are vertical are going to draw to the point. So in the bottom section and in the top section, everything goes to the point. So if I'm going to draw a tile floor, I'm going to start at the point and I'm going to angle out to make my tiles. They're going to look like they vanish away from me at that point. That's the look you're going for. Everything for one-point perspective, that is your vanishing point. Everything's going to look like it travels up to that point and disappears. When you're working on perspective, you do want to realize that as you draw things that are supposed to look farther away from you, they look closer together and smaller. So for the first row of tiles, the line will be parallel to the base. The first row of tiles is going to look smaller than the one that's closest to me. So when I pull my ruler back and draw another set of tiles, I'm going to make it a little farther away than I did from that back wall. A little farther away yet. Just a smidge farther away. And now I have a tile floor. To make the ceiling, I can do the same thing. Our ceiling here at Lankerville has those drop tile things in it, so I'm just going to draw those tiles here in the same way. Because they're rectangular and not as small as the ones on the floor, I'm going to give myself a larger, I'm going to make them look bigger. So I'm going to draw only one line here across the top. There we go. Now I have acoustical tiles and a tile floor. All right, now let's add something to the side walls. At Lankerville, I have a window over here, so let's make this a window. Once you're taking your plane, your drawing plane, and changing it to somewhere else, the rules change slightly. So in the top and bottom section, all of my vertical lines lined up with the vanishing point, the 1 point. On the side, all of my horizontal lines are going to line up with that point, and everything else is going to be perpendicular or parallel to the edges, perpendicular to this one, parallel to this one. Let's draw a window. My up and down lines for the window are going to stay up and down. If I just drew a window like this, it would not look like it is on the side wall. It just looks like a square on my paper. To make this window look like it's on the side of the window of the room, I need to take this top line and this bottom line and angle it toward the vanishing point. If I want my window to be this big on my wall, I'm going to start the top of the window way up here. I'm going to follow that dot to the angle. I'm going to do the bottom of the window the same way. This is going to be the bottom of my window. I need to make it a smidge longer. And this becomes my window. Can you see how now it looks like that side of the room is coming towards you? If I want to make a door on the other side, I'm going to do the same way. Doors tend to go all the way down to the floor. You don't want to step up into a room unless you want to draw steps, but we'll get to that later. So the side of my door is going to be close to the top, all the way down to the bottom. Same here. It's still going to be close to the top, but you'll see the line is much longer. This already angles to the vanishing point, so now all I need to do is draw the top to the vanishing point. And that becomes my door. Now let's make them a little more interesting to look at. Let's get some door frame on here. Make the window interesting. Maybe it has that divided center thing that some windows have. You know, just to make it interesting to look at. Now I have a window and a door. Let's put my cube back in this space and see what happens. If I sit my cube on the floor, and I draw to the point, the vanishing point, in the same way I just did, I can create a little table for myself. But keep in mind that if the table is sitting on the floor, it would not, the back of the table would not be hovering above this back wall. It would have to meet right here on the floor. The table can't go farther than the wall. If it was bumped up against the wall, it would stop right there. So to draw the rest of that table, that gives me the dimension. So now the top has to be where the top is because of that line, if that makes sense. Now I have an awesome little table. Whoops. As you get the hang of this, you'll be able to add more and more interesting things to your room. But there is still time to draw things freehand. So if I wanted to add a vase, I could also draw a vase. And that vase would not necessarily follow all of the rules of perspective unless it was a geometric shape. So my vase right now is just round. My flowers. See how they're not following any of the horizon line and vanishing point lines. But if I drew, let's say, a chair in the room, I would also have to follow this point. So let's say I'm going to put a nice little chair in this room. Let's decide the chair is going to sit right here. This is going to be the bottom part of the chair. And I need my straight up and down legs. The chair and the cube follow the different set of rules. They are on the same plane as the walls, so their lines would not go to the vanishing point for legs. But to make sure my table doesn't topple over or my chair doesn't topple over, it should be the same length for these two legs because they're on the same plane. Let's draw the back of the chair. And the lines to the back of the chair would, of course, be going to the dot. Now I have a cute little chair. What if I want to make a school chair, you know, like rounded edges? Well, then you can just round off the edges as long as your lines follow the basic idea. It's okay if it rounds off on the corner. So here's my middle legs. Let's draw that place on the bottom where you put your feet. It's going to go in here. Connecting to the vanishing point. Put them a little far away. They should go up here a little farther. There we go. That's better. We'll give them fat legs. All right, give 1 point perspective a try and see what you can make in your room following these basic rules.